signed by Assistant Attorney General for the Justice Department's Office of Legal Counsel, J. Bybee. The August 1st, 2002 memo addresses the proposed interrogation of a detainee named Abu Zubaydah.
And I'm Congressman Keith Ellison, and I'll be reading excerpts from Abu Zubaydah's first-hand account of his interrogation in a secret CIA prison. Abu Zubaydah's testimony is included in a report by the International Committee for the Red Cross about the treatment of detainees in U.S. custody.
The memo. You have asked for this office's views on whether certain proposed conduct would violate the prohibition against torture found in Section 2340A of Title 18 of the United States Code. You have asked for this advice in the course of conducting interrogations of Abu Zubaydah. In light of the information you believe Zubaydah has and the high level of threat you believe now exists, you wish to move the interrogations into what you have described as an increased pressure phase. This phase is likely to last no more than several days, but could last up to 30 days.
About 2.5 or 3 months after I arrived in this place, the interrogation began again. Or on the cloth so that I could not breathe. After a few minutes, the cloth was removed and the bed was rotated into an upright position. The pressure of the straps on my wounds was very painful. I vomited. The bed was then again lowered to a horizontal position and the same torture carried out again, with the black cloth over my face and water poured on from a bottle. On this occasion, my head was in a more backward, downward position and the water was poured on for a longer time. I struggled against the straps, trying to breathe, but it was hopeless. I thought I was going to die. I lost control of my urine. Since then, I lose control of my urine when under stress.
Good evening. I'm Congressman John Conyers, Chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. I'm reading a speech delivered by President Bush on June 26, 2004 in commemoration of International Day in support of torture victims. Today, on United Nations International Day in support of victims of torture, the United States reaffirms its commitment to the worldwide elimination of torture. Freedom from torture is an inalienable human right, and we are committed to building a world where human rights are respected and protected by the rule of law. America stands against and will not tolerate torture. We will investigate and prosecute all acts of torture and undertake to prevent other cruel and unusual punishment in all territory under our jurisdiction. American personnel are required to comply with all United States laws, including the United States Constitution, federal statutes, including statutes prohibiting torture, and our treaty obligations with respect to the treatment of all detainees.
Masri, a German citizen of Lebanese descent who was a car salesman before he was detained in December 2003. The U.S. policy of extraordinary rendition has a human face, and it is mine. I was born in Kuwait and raised in Lebanon. In 1985, I fled to Germany in search of a better life. I became a citizen and started my own family. I have 5 children. On December 31st, 2003, I took a bus from Germany to Macedonia. When we arrived, Macedonian agents confiscated my passport and detained me for 23 days. I was not allowed to contact anyone. I was forced to record a video saying I had been treated well. I was handcuffed, blindfolded, and taken to a building where I was severely beaten. My clothes were sliced from my body with a knife or scissors, and my underwear was forcibly removed. I was thrown to the floor, my hands pulled behind me, a boot placed on my back. When my blindfold was removed, I saw men dressed in black wearing ski masks. I was put in a diaper, a belt with chains to my wrists and ankles, earmuffs, iPads, a blindfold, and a hood. I was thrown into a plane, my legs and arms spread-eagled and secured to the floor. I felt 2 injections and became nearly unconscious. I felt the plane take off, land, and take off. When we landed again, I was beaten and left in a dirty and cold concrete cell with a bottle of putrid water. I was taken to an interrogation room where I saw men dressed in the same black clothing and ski masks as before. They stripped and photographed me and took blood and urine samples. I was returned to the cell. The following night, my interrogations began. They asked me if I knew why I had been detained. I did not. They told me I was now in a country with no laws, and did I understand what that meant? They asked me many times whether I knew the men who were responsible for the September 11th attacks, if I had traveled to Afghanistan, and if I associated with certain people in Germany. I told the truth, that I had never been in Afghanistan and had never been involved in any extremism. I asked repeatedly to meet with a representative of the German government, or a lawyer, or to be brought before a court. My requests were ignored. In desperation, I began a hunger strike. After 27 days without food, I was taken to meet with 2 Americans, the prison director and another man referred to as the boss. I pleaded with them to release me or bring me before a court, but the prison director replied that he could not release me without permission from Washington. He also said he believed I should not be detained in the prison. After 37 days without food, I was dragged to the interrogation room where a feeding tube was forced through my nose into my stomach. I became extremely ill. I was taken to meet an American who said he had traveled from Washington and who promised I would soon be released. I was also visited by a German-speaking man who explained that I would be allowed to return home, but warned that I was never to mention what had happened because the Americans were determined to keep it a secret. Almost 5 months after I was kidnapped, I was again blindfolded, handcuffed, and chained to an airplane seat. I was told we would land in a country other than Germany, but that I would eventually get to Germany. After we landed, I was driven into the mountains. My captors removed my handcuffs and blindfolded and told me to walk down a dark, deserted path and not to look back. I was afraid I would be shot in the back. I turned a bend and encountered 3 men who asked why I was illegally in Albania. They took me to the airport, where I bought a ticket home. My wallet had been returned to me. I had long hair, a beard, and had lost 60 pounds. My wife and children had gone to Lebanon, believing I had abandoned them. We are now together again in Germany. I still do not know why this happened to me. I've been told that the American Secretary of State, Condoleezza Rice, confirmed in a meeting with the German Chancellor that my case was a mistake, and that American officials later denied she said that. No one from the American government has ever contacted me or offered me any explanation or apology for the pain they caused me.